Hello. Today we are going to talk about FOIA and immigration. FOIA stands for the Freedom of Information Act. We discuss why you might need to submit a request, how to do it, and how long the process takes. We also tell you what you won't be able to get when you submit a FOIA request. I'm Raluca Hanea. As an attorney, I provide immigration, estate planning, and family law services to my clients in Lawrenceville, Georgia. My marketing and office manager, Nina Clear, is here with me. We really appreciate all your likes, shares, and comments as they help others to see our videos.
Okay, so you said FOIA stands for Freedom of Information Act. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yes, this is the law that governs the government sharing information or records.
And who can make a request?
Green card holders and U.S. citizens can make a request.
So could anyone get my information from the government?
No, there must be a legal basis for your information to be released to the person, whether that is you or an attorney requesting it. So they will not release your information to anyone unless the law allows them to do that.
And you use immigration in your immigration law practice?
Yes, I use FOIA. Yes, in my practice. Let's say it's not very frequently, but it's many times. Yeah.
Okay. Can you explain why you use it?
Sure. I may have clients who filed something with immigration years ago, and because of the length of time it takes to process the cases, people might have misplaced the paperwork, so you can request copies of the applications that you have submitted. And maybe they don't know all the times. For example, they don't know all the times in the past 10 years they have entered and exited the U.S. or something like that. Or in case of cases that were in immigration court, you can also ask with a FOIA request, you might want to find out if you have an order out there of deportation or not.
Okay. When you make a request, does the agency send you everything you submitted with your application?
Unfortunately, no. It will only send the application or applications that you submitted. Any paperwork you submitted is purged after a certain time. You can submit a different document, G884, to request the return of original documents. However, I can tell you that I have clients do this and they have not gotten their original documents back, as USCIS says they do, because USCIS also say they do not keep them. So I highly recommend that you do not give USCIS original documents. You must submit, if you must submit originals, then keep a copy of everything you have submitted. But usually they don't ask you for originals unless you're going to the interview, just for them to see them.
So if you see them at the interview, grab those back.
Yes,
don't
leave them with
hand
the
it
officer.
to them and leave them.
No.
Because that's the biggest problem we run into, right?
Yes.
People go to the interview and they're like, oh, can I see it? And they're like, yes, here you go. And then they never see that again.
Yes. Yes.
And they request it and the officer's like, don't have that.
Yes, no, don't leave your originals.
Okay. So when you send a FOIA request, do you do that by writing a letter?
It really depends on the agency. Most of them, they have a form that you can submit to request the records, but not always. So each agency has their own requirements. You'll need to check their website. And you should keep in mind, before you submit a request, you should first check to see if what you're requesting is publicly available.
Okay, and just USCIS has a form, but they even say you don't have to submit your request on this form.
Yes,
okay.
That's why I don't want to give like specific, because it's each agency, they have different forms or rules. Yes.
And what do you mean that you should check to see if it's publicly available?
This isn't often the case in immigration, but I'll give you an example. If you're thinking of requesting numbers of, let's say, I-485 applications submitted and rejected, since that is something the USCIS posts on their website, then they would not answer a FOIA request for that information.
So you need to check if it's available publicly first, and if it's not, then you submit your request?
That's right.
Okay, and can you send all your requests for immigration papers to USCIS?
No, you need to determine first which agency holds that information that you're looking for. USCIS has a chart on their website we can post a link to that tells you generally which agency you need to make a request through.
And is there a cost for the FOIA request?
Again, this depends on the agency, but most won't charge a fee when you submit the request, but they will charge for producing the documents for you. The Department of Homeland Security's policy is individuals are charged for search time if the search time takes more than 2 hours, and duplication. The first 100 pages are free, and after that they charge you, I think it's $25 for all extra after the 100 pages.
So it's 10 cents a page.
Yes.
And what you do is you agree to pay $25, and if it's going to be more than that, they always tell you in advance. And
yes,
then
they do.
You say, oh, I do want that, or I don't want that. So,
yes.
Okay. Yes. And then as a reminder, a FOIA request is not to check the status of your case.
No, absolutely not. Do not waste your time thinking you will get an answer if there hasn't been a decision in your case. FOIA is used mostly for the cases that are closed, okay, and documents that you can't find anymore. And if there has been a decision made in your case, you will be able to access that information online.
Okay, and how long, once you submit the FOIA request, will it take to receive an answer?
That depends. USCIS has a system. They decide if something is a request for an A file material or not. And with an A file material, track 1 says they will respond within 63 days to simple requests, 104 days for complex inquiries that normally require additional search and review time, or 58 days for requests by individuals scheduled for a hearing before an immigration judge. There are different times if it is not an A file or if it is a FOIA appeal. So you can check these dates on the USCIS website. We have gotten an answer as quickly as 2 weeks, so faster than it says, but that is usually when there is nothing available. Sometimes they will have documents available and they will tell you. They will tell you that we have something, but it will take us longer to produce it. Also, they say if there is a hearing before an immigration judge, they are supposed to respond to you in 58 days. But in my personal experience, it took them even 6 months to respond. So.
And why do you think it takes them so long?
It's hard to say. They may have to review the documents to ensure they can release them, or they may have to redact the information.
And what does that mean, redact?
That means to remove private or personal information.
And would they do that to documents that are your own that you're requesting?
It depends on the agency's rules. It might be that someone else's information, like a social security number or date of birth, or they can take out the name of the government officials.
Okay, and people can't get records that don't exist, right?
Yes.
I know.
That might sound obvious, but sometimes people want an agency to create a letter for them, but if it doesn't exist, this will not happen.
Okay, and do you know if there's a time limit on how long they keep documents?
Yes, each agency has policies for how long they keep the documents. In immigration, we know that INS records before 1982 are unavailable.
Is there ever a time that you cannot make a FOIA request?
Yes. If you are in removal procedures, you must submit a request through the court for your records rather than as a FOIA request.
So how do you submit the FOIA request?
Well, it seems like I've said this often in this video, but each agency has its own process. USCIS requires it to be mailed or faxed. Some agencies allow you to submit them online. Check the agency's website or determine their requirements.
And once you've submitted the request, can you check your status?
Each agency will have its own policy. USCIS will send you a letter stating that they received the request with the receipt number, and you can check the progress, which they claim is updated daily with this number.
So you sound a little bit skeptical with your whole eyebrow going up there.
Well, I haven't found USCIS to be reliable in other areas with updating the website. So I am skeptical that daily updating happens.
Okay. And then will you receive your documents or whatever it is you requested back in the mail?
It depends on the agency. So if you send it online, you're going to receive the response online or email. USCIS has you to create an online account and will deliver most requests electronically. So thank you for watching today again, and we really appreciate everyone who watches and your likes and comments. And if you have questions, please reach out to us, as we are always here to help. And I just want to say hello to Claudia and Sarah. Bye.